If at first you don't succeed, try again. Whoever said that first, whoever came up with that proverb, adage, I want to punch them right in the wiener right now. I have been loading and shooting and filming for 4 flippin' days trying to get the Rainier Wedge bullets to work in my 10.3 inch Ballistic Advantage barrel. I have had no success. I tested this bullet about 6 months ago in a video. We tried a bunch of different overall lengths. At that time, I was shooting my 8.5 inch Rainier Ultramatch barrel and my 16 inch AR Stoner barrel. I had 0 problems at any overall length. It just ate them. No matter how I loaded them, they ran just fine. But one of my supporters over at Patreon, we'll call him A. I've been exchanging messages with A for months now, trying to get his Rainier barrel. He has an 8.5 inch Rainier barrel and is having nothing but problems with these bullets. So I have owed him this video for months now. So here I am, finally. I was going to try to work up some loads with these guys in my Rainier, or in my Ballistic Advantage barrel. See if I could maybe duplicate his problems. I've had nothing but the same problems he's had. These guys will not feed. So I'm putting out a request for information here. If you have shot the Rainier Wedge bullet, down in the comments, let us know what barrel you were shooting, what overall length you were shooting, and whether or not you had any function issues at all. Because I am 4 days deep into testing these stupid bullets, and I've got no video to make. I've got no video to put together for you. And on top of that, I've had a couple, I don't even have, it's not like my normal videos where a lot of the times, whenever I run into problems, it makes for a more interesting video. Let's look at the problem. Let's come up with theories about how we can solve the problem. Let's test them. And we all learn as we go along. This wasn't even like that. It's just a bunch of jumbled mess. And no matter what I change, it doesn't help anything. And I've had a couple technical difficulties along the way that have just made it worse. The first, day one, I had a brass problem. I bought some military converted brass from Everglades Ammo. It's all Lake City. That's already cut down and formed and ready to shoot. So it's sold as ready to shoot. I generally resize my brass anyway, even if the manufacturer says it's ready to shoot. But I thought for once, I'm just going to take the easy way and I'm going to go ahead and shoot it. It was constantly causing me problems. So on top of some bullet related feeding issues, I was also getting rounds that would not go into battery. And even the ones that were going into battery were all mushy and gross sounding. So that kind of wiped out day one. I had to stop, resize all of the brass. I used my RCBS sizing die to resize it all, and that kind of fixed that problem. The next problem was that I didn't have a load to shoot with this bullet. And it's hard to work up a load when the stupid things won't run properly. So I basically just had to plow through all of the malfunctions to get enough rounds through the gun to get some velocity info to figure out what load to shoot. I used our 2 most trusty powders, Accurate 1680, right? This will run anything. And I did get enough rounds down range to get this chart put together. And as you can see, in my 10.3 inch barrel, 11.7 grains is my 1,050 feet per second load. It's a little bit chilly. It's like 40s and 50 degrees, between 40, 50 degrees, somewhere in that range while I've been testing. So this might not be a very good 80, 90 degree load, but at least cool weather load, 11.7 grains was getting me right where I needed to be with Accurate 1680. Over to CFE Black, it was exactly 12 grains. So 12.0 grains got us right at 1,050 feet per second. So once I finally had some loads and was able to start loading up, a bunch of different ammo, I tried overall lengths all the way from 2 inches all the way out until they were touching the lands. The longer I got, they did seem to feed a little bit better. I started off at 2 inches and it was frickin' Jam City, brother. It was terrible. But as I made them longer and longer and longer, it seemed to help them ride that feed ramp a little bit. But it's still not good. The tip of the hollow point is getting mushed. And the groups, oh God, the groups. Here's one range trip. This was at 50 yards. Let me darken up that picture a little bit. This was at 50 yards. Shots going all over the place. it would try to group and then it would just start slinging them everywhere. And I don't even have today's target, but it's very similar. I'm going to screw around and get a serious baffle strike. So I think that extremely rough loading, you know, with all of the craziness going on with the bullet slamming stuff and getting jacked up, I think is seriously affecting the accuracy. And it's just all bad. I tried several different buffer weights along the way, all the way from a basic carbine buffer and spring, all the way up to this crazy extra heavy buffer and Wolf extra power spring that I recently bought. So, you know, that should have significantly slowed down that bolt velocity, I think. I thought that might help. Didn't. I tried every magazine I've got. They all had the same problem. It's like that round starts to come out of the magazine, it smacks the feed ramp so hard, and the bolt ends up riding over top of the round. So you just end up with the round sitting in there crooked and the bolt laying right on top of it. Now, if we go back to the 135 grain Sierra Varminter, this was a bullet I was super stoked to test out, and I think a lot of people were looking forward to seeing it. That video got a lot of views. It had almost the same sort of problems. We had function problems, and it's a very, you know, gnarly sort of hollow point. This also had feeding problems in the Ballistic Advantage barrel. So is this a Ballistic Advantage thing? So those of you who have Ballistic Advantage 300 Blackout barrels, give me your overall impression of your barrel. Have you run into feeding problems before? And if so, what bullet was it with? Because you guys remember whenever we used to have fun with 300 Blackout around here? I still have my 8.5 inch Rainier Ultramatch barrel, and I'm seriously considering just going back to this guy. It ran everything. We never had feeding problems. It was a little overgassed sometimes. It's got a monstrously huge gas port, but that's what I'm thinking. Maybe I should just go back to this guy, get an adjustable gas block, and get back to having fun with 300 Blackout, because I'm having no fun with 300 Blackout recently. No matter what I touch turns to crap, and it's depressing as hell. You know, we used to run the 8.5 inch barrel and a 16 inch barrel, and it got old shooting two guns, dragging two guns around, keeping two sets of data. It got a little bit wearing. So I thought going to a 10, 12 inch barrel, I ended up going with the 10.3 inch Ballistic Advantage. I thought that would be a good middle point. You know, maybe those of you who are shooting short barrels and those of you who are shooting the longer barrels, I would, you know, be close enough to either of you to where my data would get you close enough to start from. But it doesn't help if I can't get anything to run properly, and in turn, I don't make 300 Blackout videos because it's a pain in the butt. Now, I will say, you know, normal bullets, normal pointed bullets don't seem to be a problem in this barrel, but these two blunt-nosed bullets just don't seem to work. Well, that's why, you know, luckily I had an upper laying around. This, you know, from, I had torn apart a gun recently to move some barrels around and crap. This is a BCM upper. This is a BCM upper. So I was trying to compare their feed ramps. Like, do I just need to maybe do some Dremel work on the feed ramps of this Ballistic Advantage to get it running a little bit better? It may be worth trying that before I give up on it. But I'll tell you what, just looking at it, you know, just eyeballing, I was going to try and take the scope off, but I can't find, you know, and that's why I put this guy in this upper, was to see if I could compare the feed ramps and see if I could spot something. I mean, it's kind of hard to get a view from the top, but if there's some major difference in the Ballistic Advantage feed ramp, I don't see it. So I don't know why this thing is having such a big problem. And since our buddy A over at Patreon is having the exact same problem, it's definitely looking like a Ballistic Advantage specific issue. So that's about it. Nothing really interesting to say other than to say that I'm defeated. Feeling very defeated and thinking about going back to the Rainier. So I appreciate any information or feedback you can give me down in the comments, and I'll see you guys next time.